This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. So what is meant by web application? So what are the websites you are seeing now? Maybe the Facebook website or any other website, whatever might be the website you're accessing. There are millions and millions of websites, I believe. There are a lot of websites in this world, correct? There are a lot of websites. So each and every website is a web application. Each and every website is a web application. So you can access that application. You can whatever the application you develop, you can access that application via web, via internet. That's why these applications are called web applications. Okay. So for developing the web applications, for developing the web applications, you need a front end screens, the UI screens. You need a UI, right? You need a UI, the user interface, where user can see the things and where user can give some input. For example, when user wants to log into some website, he has to give username and password and click on submit. On the back end, there is a program which validates the username and password. On the UI, on the user interface, user is giving the username and password or something else, whatever it is. So for example, if you log into your Wells Fargo or Bank of America website, and if you want to see the transactions that you made in the last month, then you have to select that last month transactions and click submit. Then the last month transactions will be shown to you on the screen. It means you're giving some input. Okay, I need last month transactions, or I need the transactions between Jan 2017 to April 2017. You can choose the date rates and you can click submit. Then that input will go to the backend. There's a backend program which will take that input, and process that input. Correct? Process the input. Getting it? So what I mean to say that is, in case of web applications, there is a user interface where user can see the things, and there's a backend program. Correct? There's a backend program which will take care of processing the request. Correct? There is a UI and there's a backend program. Will you agree for this?
Yes.
Yes, Ramji.
So you take any web application, there is a UI and there might be backend program. But they okay. For developing this UI, for developing this UI, you have to use the technologies like HTML. You have to use the technology called HTML for developing this interface. Uh, can you please your place your microphone mute? Okay. So for developing UI, the HTML technology is used. So how many of you don't know HTML? Who don't know HTML? Please, only those people raise your voice. Did anyone don't know about HTML? Okay, if none of you people are speaking means I assume that everyone knows HTML. Okay. So actually, even though you people know this, I have to talk about this because I don't know how many people know about the HTML properly. So I'll talk about the HTML because you have to develop the user interface and you have to give some inputs, and based on that input, the backend program will take that input and process the input. So I have to explain about the UI. Okay. And one more thing is, till now, we were learning with core Java, right? We were learning with core Java, or we few other people also learned the JDBC programming and Hibernate programming and Spring programming. Correct? Few people learned that also. But these programs, what are the programs you have written? Whether so some people learned only core Java and some people learned Spring, Hibernate, everything. So till whatever might be the technology that you learned till now, whatever might be the technology that you learned till now, how are you running the program? You should have a main method, correct? You should have a main method. Without main method, you cannot run the program, correct? Whether it's a Spring program, whether it's a Hibernate program, whether it's a JDBC program, or whether it's a Core Java program, whatever it is. Without main method, can you run the program? No, right? So
No.
here you are running the program by yourself. You are running the program by yourself. So these, whatever the programs that you have written, whatever the programs that you have written till now, whatever the programs you have written till now, those programs are called standalone, standalone programs, standalone programs, because these programs can stand by themselves. I mean to say that whatever the programs you have written, those programs can stand by themselves. Why these are called standalone programs means they don't require, those programs don't require any server. Those programs don't require any server. You did not keep your program inside a server and you're not running the program inside a server. You're running the program without a server. They can stand by themselves. You can run the program without a server, right? There is no server. I did not tell you guys about any concept called server till now. I'm just writing a program and running the program because those programs are standalone programs. They can run without a server support, without a server support. But web applications, what are the web applications you're developing? These web applications can run. These web applications can run with the support of a server. Without a server, you cannot run these web applications. These web applications can run with the support of a server. So what I mean to say that is these web applications has to be placed inside a web server. These web applications has to be, what are the applications you develop? What are the web applications you develop? Those web applications has to be placed inside a web server. So there are a lot of web servers in the market. For example, there is a server called Tomcat. There is a Tomcat server. Okay, there is a WebLogic server. There is a WebSphere server. All these are servers. So there's a Tomcat server, there's a WebLogic server, WebSphere server, JBoss server, Glassfish. There are a lot of servers in the market. Okay, so these are some of the servers. So WebLogic is developed by Oracle company, and WebSphere is developed by IBM company. Okay, JBoss is a open source. It's like a JBoss community, JBoss group, and Glassfish is developed by Sun Microsystems. Of course, right now Sun Microsystems and Oracle are both are same. So Glassfish is also owned by Oracle now. So what I mean to say that is every company has its own product. Every company has developed its own product. So it's a server. I mean Tomcat server, WebLogic server, WebSphere server. So there are a lot of servers. There are a lot of web servers in the market. What is the use of web server? So you have to keep your web application inside a web server. Then only you can run your web application. Otherwise, you cannot run your web application without keeping your application inside a server. Till now, whatever the applications we developed, whatever the programs we developed, all those programs, we directly ran those programs without a server support, right? They are standalone programs. But from going forward, whatever the web applications I develop, those web applications has to be placed in a web server and we have to run those applications. Without web servers, we cannot run the applications. So the first step in this course is we have to install the web server because you should have web server in your laptop. Without web server in your laptop, how do you keep your application inside a server, right? So as part of this course, I'm going to talk about Tomcat server because this is the most popular server. Of course, WebLogic and WebSphere are more popular than Tomcat. There is no doubt about it. They are more popular. WebLogic and WebSphere are more popular than Tomcat server, but these are not free. These are not free. So you don't get these servers for free. Generally, these are licensed servers, but you can download these servers with free version also. But those free version servers don't have much features. So you have to pay for the license, then you get a lot of features for WebSphere and WebLogic. Getting it? So they are not free. So in real time, when people use WebSphere or web server, I mean WebLogic, WebSphere or WebLogic, so the companies has to pay for the license. Then only they can use this WebLogic and WebSphere. And JBoss is also a open source. Okay, so definitely most of the people are not using Glassfish. No one is using Glassfish. So people are using Tomcat heavily. People are using JBoss heavily. People are using WebLogic and WebSphere. So all the servers are used heavily in the real time. So, but we are going to learn with Tomcat. It's a open source, and JBoss is also open source. But for this particular course, Tomcat is sufficient, and all the other servers are similar. The concepts are similar. If you learn one server, the other server concepts are similar. Getting it? So, whatever it might be, we are going to install Tomcat server as part of this course, and we'll keep our web applications inside the Tomcat server and run the web applications. Okay. Fine. So that is the first step we are going to do. Any questions till now?
No.
And we should also learn HTML, because if we don't know HTML, so you cannot develop the user interface. Correct? So whatever the web application that you are developing, that HTML is part of that web application. I mean, you should write the HTML files. You should write the HTML files, and you should write the Java programs and everything. All those things together called one web application. That application you have to keep it in the server. Okay. Anyways, you'll understand that. Don't worry, you'll understand that. Next thing that I want to talk about now is, okay, now let us assume that you developed the application, you developed the web application, you developed one website, you developed a web application. You kept that application inside a server. You kept that application inside a server. Now, how do you send a request to that application? Because you have to send one request to the application, then the application will give you the response, right? Agreed?
Yes. Yes.
This is the web server, Tomcat server. This is the Tomcat server, and so you kept your web application inside the Tomcat server, correct? You kept your web application inside the Tomcat server, correct? This is the web application. The inner block is a web application that you developed. Okay. So now, if you want to access any website, how are you accessing? From the browser, right? www.facebook.com, from the browser, right? Correct?
Yes.
So
Yes.
it means you have to send the you have to access the application, you have to access this application, you have to run this application from the browser. I mean, you're sending the request from the browser. This is browser. From browser, you are interacting with the application that is present inside the server. So right now the Facebook company has developed the application. They kept that application in one server. So from your laptop, you are sending a request to that particular server, the application that is present inside the server, right? So when you send the request, the server is sending the response back. So when you send www.facebook.com, the server is sending the response back. What is the response it is sending? It is sending a login page. It is sending a login.html, right? It is sending one HTML page. It is sending one HTML page. So that login.html page you're seeing on the screen, correct? So
Yes.
I hope everyone knows. I mean, there are two batches in this particular class which already know about this client server architecture. But let me talk about for the other batch, for the sake of other batch. See, whenever you people go to any restaurant, so when you order something, when you order some food, so who will take your order? There is a person who will take your order. That person is called server, right? So whenever you go to any restaurant, there must be some person in the restaurant who will take your order. He is called server, right? He will take the order. Server will take the order, correct?
Yes.
So he will take the order and he will serve the food. He will take your order, whatever the request whatever the request you are giving him. Oh, I need this item. I need this item. He will take your request. He will take your request and he will process your request. He will bring those items and he will serve those items. He will serve those items. Correct. So that person is called a server who is serving the items, who is taking the request and who is serving the items. He is called server. And the person who is sending the request, suppose you are the person who is sending the request, right? You are a customer to the restaurant, you are a customer to the hotel, right? You are the customer, right? So you are called client. So you are a client. The client is sending a request to the server and server is responding with a response. When client sends a request, server responds with a response, right? So right now when the customer orders the food, the server is serving the food. Whatever the request he sent, he's responding with the he's responding for the request. He's serving the food, correct? Agreed? So this is
Yes.
called client server architecture. Whoever is sending a request is called client and whoever is responding with a response is called server. Who is serving the request, who is processing the request and who is serving the request is called server. So right now this browser, this is a browser. This browser is a client because from this client I'm sending a request to the server, to the Tomcat server. Correct? So from the web, this is called web browser. These browsers are called web browser. There are a lot of web browsers in the market. There is a Internet Explorer, there is a Google Chrome, there is a Mozilla Firefox, there is a Safari, correct? Netscape Navigator. So there are so many web browsers in the market. You can download any of the web browsers. I believe everyone will have Chrome in their laptops. It is sufficient for this course. So you should have a web browser installed in your laptop. Maybe Chrome or Mozilla or whatever might be the web browser. Any web browser can be fine. So using these web browsers, you can send a request to the web server. Your application has to be inside the web server. Your application has to be inside the web server. So you are sending the request to the web server. The server will send the response back to the browser. Server will send the response back to the browser. Any questions here?
No. No.
So from web browsers, you have to make a request to the web server. Okay. So it means maybe from Google Chrome or IE, whatever it is, Internet Explorer, whatever it is, maybe to the Tomcat. Your web application is there inside the web server. Inside the Tomcat, your application is there. Okay. Fine. Whatever the application you developed, whatever the code you have written, whatever the application you developed, you keep that entire application inside the server. Fine. Now the next topic is now client. This is the client and this is the server. Client, if client wants to interact with the server, if client wants to speak with the server, if client wants to send a request to the server, okay, so in the same example that I told, when you go to any restaurant and when you order some food to the server, you are a client and he's the server. So you people have to speak in a common language, correct? You cannot speak in a language which is not known to the server. Suppose if the server does not understand French and if you speak in French, will he understand that? Can you understand what you're speaking, what you're ordering for? Can you understand your request?
No.
Oh,
So when two people are communicating with each other, okay, suppose if I'm communicating with you guys, so if I explain these things in Spanish, can you understand that? Can you understand this? Can you understand this class? No, you cannot understand this class if I explain this in Spanish. So that's why we are speaking in English. That's a common language. Okay, there are some people in this class who doesn't know Telugu, so I can't speak in Telugu because they don't understand Telugu. So I have to speak in a language so that everyone can understand that. So with whomever I'm speaking, I have to speak in a language so that he will understand that, right? The common language has to be there for the communication. That is how the communication will happen between two persons, right? Similarly, here I have to start the communication between the web browsers and the web server. Web browsers wants to send a request to the web server, correct? Web browsers has to send a request to the web server. So then web browsers has to send the request to the web server in such a language which web server will understand. Otherwise, web server doesn't understand what is that request. If it understands the request, it can process the request. If it doesn't understand the request, it cannot process the request, right? Agreed?
Yes.
So here the request, the web browser has to send the request using HTTP protocol. It's a protocol. So the web browser has to send the request to the web servers using HTTP protocol. If web browser doesn't follow the HTTP protocol and send the request to the web server doesn't understand the request. Getting it? So I hope everyone knows what is protocol. What is the meaning of protocol? What is the English meaning of protocol? Can anyone tell me? What is the dictionary meaning of protocol? Okay. So if you people don't know about protocol, so protocol is a set of guidelines. It is a set of guidelines. It's a set of guidelines. So it means there are some guidelines. Using those guidelines only, the request has to be sent. Using that protocol, using those guidelines, the request has to be sent. Okay. So if the request is not sent with those guidelines, the server will not understand that. Will not understand that. For example, whenever I speak something to you, I have to follow some guidelines. I have to follow some syntax. I have to follow some grammar. If I don't follow the English grammar, if I don't follow the English language guidelines, you people don't understand that. For example, if I speak HTTP web applications Tomcat set of, if I speak like this, if I jumble the words, will you understand what I'm speaking? You don't understand that. I have to follow some guidelines and I have to follow some syntax. I have to follow some language, right? I have to follow some language guidelines. The English language guidelines I have to follow. Agreed? Agreed?
Yes,
Everyone?
sir.
So
Yes.
similarly, so this protocol means guidelines. Protocol means guidelines. You have to follow some guidelines. So HTTP protocol has some guidelines. So the browser has to follow those guidelines and send the request to the server. Then only server will understand that request. If you don't follow those guidelines, server will not understand that request. So that's the first thing. There are a lot of protocols. There's HTTP protocol, there's a TCP protocol, there's a HTTPS protocol. Okay, there's a SOAP protocol. There's so many protocols. There are so many network protocols. So, but don't worry about all those network protocols. So, as part of this course, as part of, because we are trying to we are trying to develop the web applications. So, it is sufficient to know about the HTTP protocol. Okay. Okay. So that is about the how the browser interacts with the server. So because browser is a client and Tomcat is a server. Google Chrome is a client and Tomcat is a server. From the client, I'm sending a HTTP request. I'm sending a HTTP request to the server. I cannot send whatever the request I want. I have to send only HTTP request. Then only the server can understand what I'm speaking. Otherwise, server will not understand what I'm speaking. I have to send a HTTP request. Any questions here?
No.
No.
Okay. So next thing is fine. Now client is sending a HTTP request to the server. Fine. But how does the client knows where the server is present? See, right now the Facebook company is there. It developed the Facebook application. It kept that Facebook application inside a server. So probably let us assume that, so the Facebook application is running inside the server that is installed in my laptop. In my laptop, I install the Tomcat server. I install the Tomcat server, and inside this Tomcat server, the Facebook application is running. Let us assume that. Okay. Inside the Tomcat server of my laptop, The Facebook server is running. The Facebook application is running. Sorry, the Facebook application is running. So if you people want to access the Facebook application, if you people want to access the Facebook application, you people should know that where the Facebook application is present. Your browser should know, your client has to know, your browser should know where the application is running, correct? Then only the browser can speak. If the browser doesn't know where the server is present, where the Tomcat server is present, if the browser does not know, how the browser can send a request to the Tomcat server, correct? Agreed? So there are a lot of Tomcat servers. The Tomcat server is installed in my laptop. The Tomcat server is installed in your laptop. There are 15 students in this class. Tomcat server is installed in all the laptops. So how does suppose there's a user who's sitting in India. He wants to access the Facebook application. How does he know that? So the Facebook application is present in my laptop or in your laptop or in other laptop. How does he know that? To where will he send the request? The user will send the request to which laptop? Correct?
Yes.
Because the Tomcat server is installed in all the laptops. So but Facebook application is running in my laptop, and Bank of America application is running in your laptop. Wells Fargo application is running in some other laptop. There are so many applications. There are let us assume that all these 15 people are from 15 different companies. Okay, so and the application is running in different applications are running in different servers. Correct.
Yes.
So how does the person knows where the application is running? How does the end user knows? How does there are millions of users for Facebook? There are millions of users for Wells Fargo, right? How does all these users know where the application is running? Where the server is present? How to send the request to the server? So already few people know about this, but let me talk about this again for the sake of the other batch. So when the client wants to speak to the server, when the client wants to speak with the server, so client has to know where the server is present. Client has to know where the server is present. So right now the server is present in my laptop. Server is present in my laptop, correct? So the client has to know what is the IP address of my laptop. Each and every laptop has a IP address, correct?
Yes.
So client has to know what is the IP address of my laptop, because in my laptop only server is installed, correct? Agreed?
Yes.
So I told this example already. So whenever, so for example, for the sake of other people, so assume that you have to meet your friend who is present in New York. You have to meet your friend who, suppose you are in California and you have to meet your friend in New York. So you have to meet your friend and you have to talk to him. You want to talk to him. Okay, you want to meet him and you want to talk to him. So if you want to talk to your friend, what is the first thing you should know? You should know the address of your friend, correct? Without knowing the address of your friend, can you meet him and can you talk to him? Correct? You have to know the address of your friend. So maybe the address of your friend is something like this, some apartment. Okay. Maybe some number, some road number, some ABC drive. Uh, so maybe New Jersey, some other city. Okay, this is the address. Getting it? This is the address of your friend. Getting it? So what you did is you went to this address, but this particular address is a very big community, and in that particular community there are lot of apartments. In that community, lot of apartments. So you should know in which apartment your friend is living. Otherwise, you cannot meet your friend. Correct? You should know the apartment number also. Agreed or not?
Yes.
I want the third batch to speak now. The new batch, the core Java batch. You speak out now. So will you agree or not, Lakshman?
Yes. Yes.
So when you go to this address, you should know in which apartment number your friend is living. Otherwise, you cannot meet your friend. Similarly, when the client wants to speak with the server, the client has to know the IP address of the laptop, correct? So this is the address of your friend and this is the address of the laptop. So because you wants to speak with your friend and client wants to speak with the server, client wants to send a request to the server, correct? So you should know the IP address of the server. But okay, for example, you know the IP address. You know the IP address as how to find the IP address? Go to the command prompt, CMD, command prompt, run as administrator. Okay, IP config. If you say IP config, you'll get the IP address of your laptop. This is the IP address of my laptop. IPv4 address. IPv4 address is the IP address of my laptop. Correct? This is the IP address. 10.0.0.182. So every laptop will have a IP address. Okay. So now suppose you know the IP address of my laptop. The client knows the IP address of my laptop. But if he knows the IP address, it is not sufficient because he know the address of my laptop. But in my laptop, there are so many things are running. There's a database server running in port number 1521. There's Oracle database server, and there's a Tomcat server running on port number 8080. There is a WebLogic server running on another port number. There's a WebSphere server running on another port number. There are so many servers running in my laptop. So if you know the address of my laptop, it is not sufficient because you want to speak with the application that is present inside the Tomcat server. So you should know the Tomcat server port number also. So every application, every server runs on a specific port number. So you should know the port number also. Correct? Agreed? So if you know the address of your laptop, it is not. If you know the address of your friend, it is not sufficient. You should know the apartment number also, right? Agreed?
Yes.
So similarly, if you know the IP address of the laptop, it is not sufficient because in the laptop there are so many applications running, there are so many servers running. So you want to know the Tomcat server address. It means on what port number Tomcat server is running. Then only you can go and meet your friend, correct? Then only the client can speak with the Tomcat server because you want to speak with the Tomcat server. You don't want to speak with the WebLogic server. You don't want to speak with the WebSphere server. But in my laptop, WebLogic server is also installed. WebSphere server is also installed. Tomcat server is also installed. But the client wants to speak with the Tomcat server, correct? Agreed? So the client has to know if the client wants to speak with the Tomcat server in my laptop, the client has to know the IP address of the laptop and also the port number on which the server is running, on which the Tomcat server is running. The client has to know those things. If the client does not know those things, client cannot go and send a request to the server. Correct? You cannot send the request from the browser to the Tomcat server. If you know those things, then the client can send a request to the server. The browser can send a request to the Tomcat server. Any questions here?
No.
Okay. So if no questions to anyone, suppose there are lots of web applications, right, in this world. There are lots of websites. There are lots of websites. Agreed? There are lots of websites. Can you so each and every website, each and every web application, is kept in one server. For example, Facebook company, they installed one Tomcat server. Let us assume that they installed Tomcat server, and inside the Tomcat server, they kept their application in one of the mission, in one of the laptop, in one of the desktop, whatever it is. They will have a data center. Every company will have a data center. In the data center, these machines will be present. These laptops or desktops, whatever it is, they will be present in the data center. So in those laptops, so they install the servers, they install the Tomcat servers, and in the Tomcat servers they kept the application. Correct? Agreed. Every company will have a data center. So they will have one specific data center where they have where they keep the laptop, and in that laptop they install the Tomcat server, and inside the Tomcat server they kept the Facebook application. Agreed. So similarly, there is one more company called Wells Fargo Bank. So they also have a data center. They also have their own laptop in the data center. In that laptop, they install the Tomcat server and they kept the Wells Fargo application inside the Tomcat server. Correct? Similarly, Bank of America company also have their own data center. So in that data center, so they will have their own laptop, and inside that laptop they install the Tomcat server, and they kept their Bank of America application inside the Tomcat server. Correct. Similarly, lots of companies. There are so many websites. You open any website, each website is developed with some company, right? And that company, definitely that company kept this application inside a server. Agreed? Will everyone agree to this?
Yes.
So how can you remember? How can you remember the IP address, of each and every application? Suppose as a end user, I want to book the tickets. I want to book a movie tickets. I want to book the movie tickets. Okay, I want to go to the Book My Show website or any other website. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, guys. So, so you cannot remember the IP address of each and every laptop. For example, if you want to, as a end user, if I want to book the movie tickets, so I want to make a request to the Book My Show application that is present inside one of the server, right? So I should know the IP address of that particular laptop where the server is installed. Then only I can send a request. Agreed or not? Otherwise, I cannot send a request from the browser in my laptop. Is everyone listening?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Similarly, if I want to pay my power bill, I need to know the IP address of the power company. I mean, where they install the server, in which laptop they install the server, in which server it is the application is running. I have to know the IP address of that particular laptop if I want to make a request and if I want to access that application. So similarly, there are a lot of things you do in your real life. If you want to make some transactions, you should know the IP address of that particular laptop where the Wells Fargo application is running. Correct? So in your daily life, the day I mean when the day starts, you live with web applications only. Agreed? For everything we depend on online. There's a online application for everything. There's a web application for everything. Okay, for paying the power bill, for booking the movie tickets, for ordering the food, you can order the food in online, right? There's a website for that. Correct? You can purchase the things in online. You can do the online purchase. There's a website for that, the Amazon website. Correct? So you can purchase the things in online. So everything you can do in online. Correct? There are lots and lots of websites. Now, as a end user, it is very difficult for me to remember the IP address of each and every application, right? Because these applications are running in different servers, and those servers are installed in different laptops, correct? I cannot remember the IP address of each and every laptop to send a request to that application, correct? Because remembering the numbers is always difficult. IP address means the IP address looks like this: 10.0.0.182. Remembering the number is always difficult. To remember the numbers, it is always difficult. You cannot remember the IP address. Will everyone agree to this or not?
Yes.
That's the reason they came up with a solution called each and every IP address, For example, this IP address 10.00.0.0.182, this IP address is bounded to one name. Okay, maybe let us assume that www.facebook.com. This is the name. So for this particular name, this is the IP address. For another name, this is the IP address. So they bounded each and every address with one name. This is called domain name. This is called domain name. So this is called domain name. So what they did is there is a concept called DNS, domain naming server, domain naming service. So there is a concept called DNS, domain naming service. So it's a DNS is a registry. It's a registry. Registry means what? Registry means where you can store some information, where you can register some information. It's a registry is a place where you can store some information. I mean, where you can register some information, right? So there are a lot of registries in the there are a lot of registries in the laptop, right? There are a lot of registries in the there are a lot of registries in the computer. I hope everyone knows about registries, and I hope everyone might have learnt about this in the BTech. What is in the registry? Every computer will have registries where you can store some information. Okay, computer also stores some information in the registries. Okay, so there is a registry called DNS registry where you can where you can register where you can register your domain name and your IP address. It means you're storing for this particular IP address. This is the domain name. You are storing this information in the DNS registry. For this particular IP address, this is the domain name. For this particular IP address, this is the domain name. You are storing all the IP addresses and domain names in this registry. Okay. Now from the browser, the end user, from the browser, when he sends www.facebook.com, then this request first will go to the DNS registry. The request first goes to the DNS registry, then it will resolve the IP address based on the domain name, because you sent www.facebook.com. It will go and check for this domain name what is the IP address. Okay, this is the because this information is already there in the DNS registry. It will go and look up that registry. It will do a lookup in that registry. It will look in that registry for this domain name what is the IP address. Once the IP address is found, now the client knows where to send the request, because if it knows the address, you can send the request, right? Getting it?
Yes.
I want reply from everyone. Do you understand what is meant by DNS registry?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
From the browser, whenever you send any request, the request first goes to the DNS servers, where the request will where the domain name will be resolved, where the domain name will be resolved into a IP address, and using that IP address, now the request will be sent to that IP address. That is how the things happen in real time. Okay, the domain, because it is easy to remember the names rather than remembering the numbers. You cannot remember the IP address. You cannot remember 10.0.0.152 for this particular application, Wells Fargo, 10.1.2.7 for this particular application. You cannot remember millions and millions of numbers, right? But it is easy to remember. It is easy to remember the names. So that's the reason they came up with this solution. So whenever you want to access any web application from the browser, from the client, so you have to send the request using the domain name. Then the domain name will be resolved into IP address. So to that particular IP address, the request will be sent. But what request you are sending? You are sending a HTTP request from the client. The browser has to send a HTTP request to the server, but browser has to know the IP address of the server. So because the browser does not know the IP address of the server, it knows the domain name. The request will be sent to the DNS registry. From the DNS registry, the IP address will be resolved and the request will be redirected to the server. Any questions here?
No.
Okay. So now, let us learn about HTML. The next topic of the course, HTML. So HTML is a technology. HTML is a technology to develop web pages. HTML is a technology to develop web pages. Okay. So what are the web pages that you are looking in your screen? For example, www.bookmyshow.com, something like this. So when I send this request from the browser, the request went to the server and server send the response back, correct? Server send the response back. So this is the response you are seeing in the you are seeing now. So this particular response sent by the server. This is the HTML page. This is a web page. What are the page that you see on the screen? That is a web page. Whatever the page you are seeing on the screen is a web page, correct? It's a web page. This is called web page. So this web page is sent by the server. Server sent this web page to the client. So then client is displaying that web page. Client is displaying the web page, whatever the web page sent by the server. Because client sent a request to the server. Now server sent a response back. This is the response it sent. So this is the web page it sent. Okay. So this is called web. Whatever the page that you see on the screen, that is the web page. So what is the technology used to develop this page? So how this page is developed? So how this page is divided into multiple blocks and multiple images. So it is aligned properly. So everything looks so clean, right? So it is developed using the HTML technology. Using the HTML, you can develop a web page. Okay. So HTML is a markup language. HTML is a markup language, hypertext markup language. Am I recording this meeting? Yes. So HTML is a hypertext markup language. So already few people know about XML. I mean the core Java batch does not know what is XML, but the other people know what is an XML. XML is also a markup language. HTML is also a markup language, right? It's a language. It's a language, the markup language. In the markup language, you will have tags, right? You will have a tags. Any markup language, whether it's HTML or XML or DHTML or whatever might be the markup language, those markup language will have some tags. Some tags, tag 1 and tag 1. Every tag will have a opening tag and closing tag. This tag is opened here and this tag is closed here. This is called tag 1 is opened here and tag 1 is closed here. So this is a closing tag and this is a opening tag. Every markup language will have a tag. So and you can have one more tag called tag 2, open the tag and close the tag. You can have one more tag called tag 3, open the tag and close the tag. Okay. So this is called parent tag and these two tags are children of this tag because these two tags are present inside this tag. This tag is opened here and this tag is closed here. Within this tag there are two children, correct? So this is a parent tag and this is a child tag. This is a parent tag and this is a child tag. Now within the tag 2, if I want, I can have another tag called tag 4. Okay, so this is the tag that is present inside the tag 2. So tag 2 is a parent and tag 4 is a child of the tag 2 and tag 2 is a child of tag 1, correct?
Yes.
So this is also markup language. I mean, within this tag, what is the use of this language? What is the use of this HTML or XML, whatever might be the markup language? So these HTML files will carry some information. These HTML files or XML files, whatever might be the markup language files, those files will carry some information. So suppose this is my first web page or something like this is the information it is carrying within this tag. I'm sending this information. Getting it? So I'm sending some information in this file, in the HTML file. So server, when you send the request to the server is sending a response. What response it is sending? It is sending one HTML page. It is sending one HTML file. It is sending one HTML file back to the browser. The HTML file carries some information. So that information is displayed in the browser, right? When the client sends a request to the server sends a response. What response it is sending? It is sending a HTML response. It is sending a HTML response. So it is sending some HTML file as part of the response. That HTML file contains some information. That information is displayed in the browser. So what are the things that you see in the browser? All this information you are seeing in the browser, right? You are seeing a lot of content. You are seeing a lot of content on the browser. Agreed? So all this content is part of the HTML file. The server sent a HTML file back to the browser, and browser understands what is there inside the HTML file. It understands the content in the HTML file and displaying that content. Getting it? Is everyone following?
Yes, sir.
So browser understands the HTML file. Browser understands the HTML file. What are the content present in the HTML file? That HTML language, the tag, it will understand the HTML tags. For example, if you say there's a tag called HTML, open the tag and close the tag, and there's a tag called body tag within the HTML tag, open the tag and close the tag. Okay, so there's a tag called input tag where you can specify type equal to text. So these are the attributes of a tag. One tag can have attributes also. Till now I told tag can be opened and tag can be closed. You can also define the attributes for a tag. So the type is one of the attribute. You're telling type equal to text, name equal to name1. You're giving some name. Okay, and just close the tag. So this is one input tag. So if you send this HTML file to browser, let us see that. Let me write one HTML file. I'm writing my first HTML file. Every HTML file should have a HTML tag as a root tag. This is the root tag. This is the parent tag. This is the root element. So you should have a closing tag. Now what I'll do is I'll write a body tag. I'll close the body tag. And inside the body tag, what I'll do is I'll write one input type equal to text. Input type equal to text. Name equal to, you give some name, maybe text1 or something like that. You give some name. Input tag does not require a closing tag. Input tag can just, it will just have a opening tag. It doesn't have a closing tag. Okay, and in front of this I'll give username colon. Now I'll say password colon. I'll give input tag type equal to password. This input tag has an attribute called type. When you specify type equal to text and when you specify type equal to password, I'll tell you what is the meaning of these things. Type equal to password and name equal to password1. Okay, so this is the input tag does not require a closing tag. So this is one tag and this is the other tag, and I gave some plain text here. You can give the plain text also without the tags. You did not give any tags here, just giving the plain text, correct? You can give some plain text also. There's nothing wrong in that. So now this is my HTML file. So let me save this file, Control S. I'm saving this file on the desktop. First dot.html. The HTML file has an extension called .html. So whenever you write Java program, you are saving the Java program with .java, correct? You are saving the Word document with .doc. You are saving the Excel sheet with .xls. You are saving your images with .jpg. Every file will have an extension based on the file type. If it is an image file, it is .jpg or .png. If it is a Word document, .doc. If it is a Java file, .java. Similarly, if it is a HTML file, it should be .html. Okay. So I'm saving this HTML file on my desktop. Now what I'll do is, so this is the first .html. Where is that? This is the first .html, right? So now right click on that first .html, okay, and open with Google Chrome. I'm opening this HTML file with the Google Chrome browser. Can you see the text field where you can enter some text? And can you see the password field where you can enter the password, which is not shown to the users, correct? Getting it?
Yes.
So because I'm opening the HTML file contains this information. HTML file contains this information. I'm opening that HTML file with the browser. Browser understands the HTML language. Browser knows what is meant by input type equal to text. It understands the HTML language. Every browser understands, whether it's a Google Chrome or Internet Explorer or Mozilla, whatever might be the browser, Safari browser, whatever might be the browser understands the HTML language. So when you open the HTML file with the browser, browser understands what is the content inside the HTML file. Getting it? So it understands what is input type equal to text, what is input type equal to password. It knows what is the meaning of that. That's why it is rendering those elements on the screen. It is rendering the text element on the screen. It is rendering the text element on the screen. This is the text element, right? This is the text field. This is the text field. When you say input type equal to text, browser is understanding that and it is rendering the text field. When you say input type equal to password, browser understands that it renders the password field on the screen. Correct? So browser understands the HTML language. Any questions here?
No.
No, no, Ron.
No questions.
So browser understands the HTML language and this is the language syntax. There is a tag called input tag and based on the type, based on the attribute. So if you specify type equal to text, it will render the text field. If you specify type equal to password, it will render the password field. Okay. For example, if you specify input type equal to checkbox, okay, and name equal to some checkbox 1, whatever it is, you can give any name. You can give Ramji also, you can give any name. Okay, so input type equal to checkbox and name equal to checkbox 1. Okay, and just specify your one, just to identify the checkbox field, something, some text, some plain text. This is a plain text, correct? So let me open this with Google Chrome again. Let me reload the page. I got username field, password field and checkbox field, correct? This is the checkbox. I can check the field. I can uncheck and I can check, correct? So it's a input field because you are giving some input. You are giving some input in the text field. You are giving some input in the password field. You are giving some input to the checkbox, whether you are checking the field or whether you are unchecking the field. You are giving some input, right?
Yes.
Similarly, you can also radio button field. So input type equal to radio. If the type equal to radio, it will render the radio button. Okay, input type equal to radio, name equal to radio, something like this. You can give any name. Okay, input type equal to radio. Maybe if you give, suppose, let us give gender, male, female, save. Now let me open this HTML file in the browser. So did I get male and female for the gender field? So I can select only one of those things, right? Either male. When I select female, the male will be gone, correct? Only one of these fields I can select, correct?
Yes.
So this is a radio button. This is called radio button. This is called checkbox, and this is called password field, and this is called text field. Input type equal to text. All these things are input fields. Input type equal to text means text field. Input type equal to password means password field. Password field means what is the specialty of that? You cannot see the things on the screen, correct? It's a dotted things, correct? So input type equal to password and input type equal to checkbox and input type equal to radio. There are different types of input elements. Radio button element and checkbox element and the text element and password element, correct?
Yeah.
Any questions here? So this is how you can develop something. You can develop using the HTML files. And when the client sends the request to the server will send one HTML file. It means you should already keep the HTML file inside the server. You should already keep the HTML because you already developed the application. You kept your application inside the server, right? And your application contains lot of HTML files. Your application contains login.html. Your application contains welcome.html, home.html. There are so many HTML files you kept inside your application contents, and you kept your application inside the server, correct? Getting it? When you send the request to the server will understand that request and it will send the response back. So it might send the login.html back. When it sends the login.html back, so the browser understands the HTML file and it displays the content inside the HTML file on the screen, correct? You developed some application, maybe you developed the Facebook application. Facebook application has a login page. Facebook application has a home page. When you enter the username and password and click on submit, it will show you the home screen, right? Agreed?
Yes.
Yes.
So there are a lot of screen. There are a lot of suppose when you click on friends, it will show you the friends page, correct? The friends.html. All the friends information will be shown on the screen, correct? And when you click on the photos page, it will show all the photos on the screen. There is a different HTML page. So there are a lot of HTML files. You have to develop these HTML files because it is your application. You have to write the HTML files. You have to write the HTML files and keep these HTML files inside the server because all these HTML files are part of your application. All these HTML files are part of your application. You developed the application and you kept your application inside the server. Then when the request is sent to the server will understand the request and how it will understand the request, how it process the request. I will explain all those things, don't worry. Just try to understand at high level. When you send the request to the server will understand the request and it will send the response back to the browser. So maybe it might send login.html as a response, or it might send home.html as a response. Based on the request, it will send the response, right? Agreed.
Yes.
Based on the request sent by the browser, the server will understand that request and will send the corresponding response. If you're requesting for a login page, server will send a login HTML. If you're requesting for a home page, the server will send a home.html. If you're requesting for a friends page, server will send the friends.html, right? Based on the request you're asking the server will send the corresponding response. So when it sends the HTML page, the browser will understand that HTML page. Browser will understand what is there inside the HTML page, and it will display that information on the browser because browser understands the HTML files that I already proved. Browser understands the HTML language. When you open the HTML file with the browser, so browser is showing you on the things on the screen, correct?
Yes.
Similarly, when the server sends a HTML file to the browser understands that HTML file and it displays the content on the screen. So this is what is happening at high level. I hope everyone understands what is happening at high level. Still, we have to go to the low level and we have to understand how the server understands the request. When you send some request, how server understands that HTTP request. When you send a HTTP request to the server, because you have to send a HTTP request, you have to follow the HTTP protocol and send the HTTP request. Then you have to know how the server understands the HTTP request and how it is processing the request, how it is sending the response back. The response is also HTTP response. That response is also HTTP response. Getting it? Because the client and server has to speak using the HTTP protocol. They have to speak with a common language. So when you, one second, yeah. So when two people are speaking, suppose if I'm speaking to you guys, I'm speaking in English language, and when you want to ask some question back, you should also speak in English language, right? You should speak in a common language. Agreed?
Yes.
Similarly, when the client sends a HTTP request, the server also should send a HTTP response. Correct? The server should also send the response using the HTTP protocol. Of course, it is sending the HTML file. That HTML file is sent using HTTP guidelines. Using the HTTP guidelines, it is sending the HTML file. Getting it?
Yes.
Yes. Anyways, you'll understand that. So when I talk about it, when I explain you the things clearly, then you'll understand that this is just a introduction class. I hope everyone understands what is server, what is client, what is HTTP request at high level. I'm talking at only at high level. What is HTTP request? What is HTTP response? Okay, and what is HTML language? At least at a high level, you understand what is HTML, what is HTTP, and all these things, right?
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay, so in the evening class, I will talk about HTML. We'll start with HTML first. We'll learn the HTML in the next class and also in the next class. Maybe next I think only one class is sufficient. Only one class is sufficient for HTML. I don't talk everything about HTML. I'll talk about the HTML things, so whichever is required for you as part of this course. As part of this course, whatever is required for you, I'll talk about only those things. I'll explain you only those things about HTML. Okay, so let us try to learn the HTML today evening. Okay, so at what time it is fine for you guys today evening? Is it okay if it is at 10 o'clock Eastern time? Because I'm giving you sufficient time for practicing the recordings which I sent earlier. The Hibernate recordings has to be practiced by the Hibernate batch. The Spring recordings has to be practiced by the Spring batch, and Core Java recordings has to be practiced by the Core Java batch. You have to practice the recordings before coming to the class. Don't waste your time. So please spend some time in practicing the recordings. Okay. Yeah. So let us meet at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Let us meet. Is it fine with everyone?
Yes, Ramji.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, we are learning HTML today. So if in case if you people are not able to make it, so please go through the recording once. I definitely suggest everyone to go through the recording even if you know HTML. Even if you know HTML, I want everyone to follow the recording and come to the class. Okay. In case if you are not able to make it, try to make it. In case if you are not make it, please follow the recording and come to the next class. But I expect at least 10 people in the class. Yeah, bye. Bye everyone.
Okay.